Welcome to Grant Writing Made Clear. The truth is, the grant writing process isn't always clear, but with the right guidance, proven actionable strategies, and expert insights, the process becomes easier, simpler, and yes, clearer. I am Dr. Trinette, your host of Grant Writing Made Clear, and a former nonprofit president turned distinguished professor and behavioral scientist with 2 decades of grant writing experience. I remember what it was like to be a busy nonprofit leader with little time but big financial sustainability concerns. Over the years, I have transformed my skills from securing $1,000 foundation grants to winning multi-million-dollar federal grants. I created this podcast in response to the grant writing coaching requests I've received from nonprofit leaders, entrepreneurs, and professors over the years. Join me each week as I reveal insider strategies and share key lessons that turn wishful thinking into winning applications. Pull up a seat and get ready to be inspired, empowered, and transformed. Whether you're a beginner or a pro looking to sharpen your skills and create a life you love, you're in the right place, my friend. Let's get started. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Grant Writing Made Clear. I'm your host, Dr. Trinette, and I'm so excited you're here today because we're talking about something that's close to my heart: creating goals and developing a feasible and thoughtful plan. This is the time of year when many of us start reflecting on what we've achieved this past year and what we are dreaming of. Maybe you've been invited to a vision board party, or you've seen someone post sticky notes on their mirrors with their 2025 affirmations. I don't know. But those are all great starting points. Today, we're diving deeper into how you can set SMART goals and create a clear and actionable plan for the new year, especially if you want to elevate your grant writing game in the new year and secure more grant funding. I know I do. This is an episode you'll want to take notes on because it's not just about setting goals. It's about achieving your goals in a way that aligns with your purpose. So grab your favorite notebook, pour a cup of coffee or tea, and let's make 2025 your most impactful year yet. Are you ready? I am. Well, before we get started, I have a gift for you, my free cheat sheet called Think Like a Winner, Unlock Your Path to Fundable Ideas in One Day. Whether you're just getting started or looking to sharpen your skills, this guide will help you brainstorm ideas that funders cannot ignore. You can grab it using the link in the show notes. Don't miss out. It is a game changer. Okay, let's dive in. So before we talk about where we're going, before we move into setting our new goals, let's pause and reflect on this past year. Reflection is beneficial because it helps us to learn from our experiences, both our wins and challenges, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I love to reflect. I want you to join me in reflecting. Take a moment to ask yourself, what were your biggest wins in 2024? What were your biggest wins? Maybe you submitted your first grant application. Maybe you secured a major grant that felt like a long shot. Maybe you found your purpose. Maybe for some or many of you, your biggest win is that you survived. You survived. Whatever it is, I want you to celebrate that win. Celebrate that victory. If it was survival, celebrate it. Life is hard. Whatever it is, I want you to take a moment, write down your wins, and give yourself credit. Sometimes we gloss over our wins, and I want you to pause and reflect and celebrate your wins, whatever they were. And now, after we have reflected on our wins and celebrated our wins, I want us to think about what didn't go as planned. Life is not perfect. Sometimes we set goals and may not reach those goals. What didn't go as planned in 2024? Maybe you intended to submit 2 grant proposals, but didn't submit any. Maybe there was a proposal that didn't get funded. Maybe you had planned to find a mentor this year, but didn't. Whatever didn't go as planned, take some time to write down the lessons you learned from this experience. so that you can improve and do better the next time. I want to be clear that reflection doesn't mean that we stay stuck looking behind us. It simply means that we take the time to learn from the things that didn't go as planned. After this episode, I want to encourage you to take 10 minutes to write down your reflections from 2024. As you write them down, engage all of your senses, engage your full self, so that you can truly remember the pieces of the story that are important for you to remember and learn from. Trust me, this is a powerful exercise. I want you to be fully present when you think about the things that did not go as planned. Think about it, reflect on it. We're going to build on those in 2025. So now that we've looked back and reflected on 2024, it's time to look forward and begin planning for 2025. As a former nonprofit leader and a current researcher, I've been taught to use the SMART framework to set goals. SMART, capital S, capital M, capital A, capital R, capital T, SMART. So the S stands for specific, M is measurable, something you can objectively measure. A is achievable, R is relevant, and the T is time bound. So if we were thinking about something relevant to this podcast, we might say, in a traditional kind of a way, we would say, I want to write more grants next year. If we were using the SMART framework of specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, we would say, I will submit 3 high quality grant proposals to federal agencies by the end of December 2025. That's SMART. It's SMART because it's specific. You know exactly what you're aiming for. 3 proposals. It's measurable. You can check off your progress as you complete each proposal. It's achievable. I think it's a fairly ambitious goal, maybe depending on your capacity, but it is a realistic goal. Relevant. Securing funding, if it's relevant, if it's one of your priorities, then that means it's relevant. And it is time bound. There's a clear deadline that you want to submit 3 high quality proposals by the end of December 2025. So that's a SMART goal. So I want you to sit down and develop SMART goals for 2025. And after you develop those goals, I want you to prioritize your goals. Maybe you want to go after the lowest hanging fruit first, right? So maybe you have some grant applications that are already in progress and you want to go after those first. Or maybe you want to prioritize the grant that will move the needle the most for your organization, which might be the biggest, the largest grant. Maybe it's not about the number of proposals, but about securing funding for one particular project. You get to prioritize your goals in the way that makes sense for you, in the way that is sensible for you. And so I want you to develop your SMART goals and then prioritize those goals. Think about what you want to achieve in the next year. And then I want you, as we've talked about in the previous episode, to create an accountability group to help hold you accountable. So you have these goals. And many of us at the top of the new year, we set all these goals. And by February 1, we don't even remember those goals. We don't even remember where we wrote them down. If you have an accountability group, they're going to hold you accountable. They're going to remind you. You're going to remind yourself every week. Why? Because you don't want to go in there looking embarrassed. Peer pressure is real. So I want you to create an accountability group to help keep you honest, to help you remember that you've set these goals for yourself. And after you have created your SMART goals and created your accountability group and you've prioritized your goals, I want you then to move on to developing your action plan. We all need an action plan to achieve our goals. So let's talk about that. First, you have your goals for the year. Next, I want you to divide the year into quarters. I know quite a few people who set their goals in this way, and I am going to move into doing more of that in 2025 myself, right? So we want to set our annual goals, and then we're going to have quarterly goals. So we're going to break down our annual goals into manageable quarterly goals. For example, if your goal is to submit 3 proposals by December, you may want to plan to research potential funders and decide on the funding mechanism in quarter 1. And then in quarter 2, you may want to actually start writing the grant proposals, assuming the proposals are due in quarter 2 or later. So smaller steps make big goals feel less overwhelming and intimidating. Sometimes I myself can't focus on the major goals because it is overwhelming, but I can break them down into chunks and pieces, bite-sized pieces, if you will, and then begin to work on those. And those smaller pieces build up to bigger goals. So I want to encourage you to, after you've developed your annual goals, to then move on to breaking them down into quarterly goals. After you have those, I want to make sure that you think about your milestones along the way because maybe you're going to have some monthly milestones to ensure that you're moving towards achieving your quarterly goals. And I want you to celebrate often when you achieve your goals. So maybe that first goal or that first milestone is that you took a grant writing course. That's a win. I want you to celebrate it. Maybe it is that you had a meeting, you scheduled a meeting to talk to a funder. That's a win. I want you to celebrate it. Maybe it's that you blocked off 1 day per week to learn how to write grants. That's a win. I want you to celebrate it. Maybe you actually wrote your first grant proposal. That is a win. I want you to celebrate it. So we're going to be celebrating often. Why? Because life is hard. Life is hard, and we're not going to sit and be unhappy. We're going to have a good time on this grant writing journey. So that's the next step is we're going to set milestones after we have developed our quarterly goals. Two more strategies I want to offer you. The third is I want you to begin either a weekly Sunday evening meeting or a weekly Friday afternoon meeting or a weekly Monday morning meeting, but some day at some point in the week, take the time to sit down and write your goals for the week. So again, for me, I try to make it Sunday evenings. That's a little more difficult these days because I'm doing things with my children. And so now a lot of times my weekly goal meeting happens Monday mornings. For you, I want you to figure out the best time to do that. It may be Friday afternoon, it may be Sunday evenings, it might be Monday mornings. But I want you to find one time that you can sit down every week to establish your goals for that week. Why? Because we're breaking things down into chunks. We're breaking them down into manageable pieces that can help us get to our milestones, that can help us get to our quarterly goals, that can help us achieve our annual goals for next year. We're going to do this. We're serious about this. Whatever your goals are, maybe you're listening and you're not planning to write a grant, but you're listening to learn something. And whatever your goals are, I want you to join us in this step. I want you to sit down, set your goals, your quarterly goals, your annual goals, your milestones, and then I want you to begin holding weekly meetings with yourself to establish your goals for the week. Okay. So we're going to categorize those goals in a way that makes sense for you. For example, I do this, right? I do this every week. I sit down and I write down my goals for the week, and they are categorized according to what I need to get done that week. And this is going to be consistent with whatever it is you do for your job and whatever it is that you're doing, if maybe you have some extra things on the side. So I have my work goals, and they are categorized into 4 different areas. I also have personal goals, and so I have things related to my children's extracurricular activities. So I may have, my children's basketball games, my daughter's gymnastics practice. I may have cooking. I may have health appointments. I may have gym time. Whatever it is, I have it on my weekly goals for the week. Doing this helps me be clear about the work that I need to get done this week. And again, it includes my professional goals as well as my personal goals. Why? Because it all has to get done that week. And when I have time, I love to do this next step. If you have time, I encourage you to do this. I love to also write out my daily goals the day before. And then when I write out my goals for the next day, I like to map those goals onto time, right? So for example, let's say that your goals are to search for funding, which is huge in itself. That's plenty to do. But maybe your goals for tomorrow are to search for funding, email a project officer, and start brainstorming grant ideas. I would not simply write those 3 things down. I would write them down, but I would also map them out onto time, taking into account I have other things going on in my life. I have meetings to go to. I have, again, you might have a health appointment. You might have a child activity that evening. So mapping it onto time helps you to realize whether or not your goals for the next day are realistic. Many of us are overly ambitious and we can put 15 hours worth of work into an 8-hour workday. And so mapping your goals and your task onto time helps you to set realistic goals, which is really healthy. That's healthy because what's not healthy is you mapping 15 hours onto a 8-hour workday. And at the end of the day, when it did not happen, when you did not complete all those goals, now you're upset with yourself. Well, those goals weren't realistic from the beginning. So this helps you to set realistic goals, which again, I think is a healthy practice. So that's the third strategy is what? Setting your weekly meetings with yourself to establish your weekly goals. And I want you to take a step further if you can and write out your goals for the next day. Each day, write out your goals for the next day and map it onto time. Why? Because I think it's a healthy practice. And my final strategy for you today, I have many more to offer, but this is what we're going to do today. My final strategy for you today is to use tools that work for you. So for many of you, as you are writing your goals, many of you may be like me. I'm pretty traditional. I still use pen and paper quite often. I use pen and paper. I use a planner. Sometimes I even use sticky notes to write my goals and tasks for each week, for each quarter, for each year, right? And so use whatever works for you. For me, it's mostly pen and paper. I still love to see it on paper. Why? Because I love to scratch things off of my list. I love that feeling of scratching it off of my list. And so I still use pen and paper. Having said that, I also use an app in my phone called Journey, I believe. I use this app in my phone called Journey to take notes, to write down my daily goals. So my weekly goals I do on pen and paper. My daily goals I do in an app in my phone. And I write those down and then I just go back. If it's in my phone, I just write done at the end. Writing done, it does not give me the same sense of satisfaction as scratching it off of my piece of paper does. So I use both though. But you do what works best for you. I know some people who like to use project management tools like Slack, Trello. Whatever it is that works for you, I want you to use it to stay organized. I want you to find what works for you and to use that. Again, maybe it's pen and paper, maybe it's a planner, maybe it is an app, maybe it is a project management tool, whatever it is to help you set your goals, be clear about your goals, stay organized. That's what I want you to use. And let me tell you something that I do because I believe our words are powerful. I believe our mindset is powerful. Because of that, when I write down my goals, I don't write to-do lists. I don't write this week's activities. I write accomplishments. I write what? Accomplishments. Why? Because I am speaking it into existence. Because I believe my words are powerful. So I'm going to write down, this is not my to-do list. This is my list of accomplishments because I believe at the end of that day, at the end of that week, I would have met my goal. So I want to encourage you to speak positivity over your life. It is important that we set goals and develop a plan to achieve our goals. It's also important that we manage our time well. I want to talk about time management because for many of us, the issue is not that we are not setting goals. For many of us, the issue is that we are mismanaging our time. We are overcommitting. We're saying yes too much. And we all know that when we say yes too much, it means we're saying no to ourselves too much. So many of us mismanaging our time because we're overcommitting. I consider that mismanagement. And some of us are mismanaging our time because we're spending too much time on social media or some other unhelpful time suck. So for some of us, I want our goal this year in 2025 to be enhancing our time management skills. A lot of us are on social media way too much. I want us to focus on time management. And then I want to talk, and I've talked about this a little bit, but I want to talk about our mindset, preparing our mindsets for the success we're going to have in 2025. I want us to prepare our mindsets for the success we're going to have in 2025. Our mindset is so incredibly important for the work that we're saying we want to do because the best plan won't work with the wrong mindset. Your mindset can be the difference between giving up and pushing through. It's the difference between starting and watching others start. It's the difference between glass half full and glass half empty. It's the difference between being a winner or not. We have the choice. And so I want to offer just a couple thoughts about some ways that we can cultivate a winning mindset. One of the first is to manage our thoughts. My daughter wrote a book when she was 5 years old called My Words Are Powerful because I have been intentional about ensuring that my children know their words and their thoughts are powerful. I want to encourage you to create and practice positive statements such as, I am capable. It seems simple, but it can be effective. I want you to tell yourself, I am capable. I can learn to write strong, high quality grant applications. I will get funded. Say these affirmations out loud daily. It might feel awkward at first, but I believe it will be helpful. So I want us to manage our thoughts. And one of the ways, again, that we can do that is with affirmations. I am capable. I can do this. I will do this, right? Another strategy for minding our thoughts is to visualize our successes. So every morning, I want you to take a moment to picture yourself achieving your goals next year. Take a few minutes and just imagine submitting the grant proposal and later hearing the news that your grant was funded. I want you to take a moment just to imagine the successes that I believe are in store for you. I want you to imagine your goals being achieved. Why? Because you're going to do the work. You're going to be organized. You're going to have your accountability group. You're going to have your mentor. You're going to do the work. I want you to imagine it. Visualization makes success feel real. It makes it feel real and within reach. And I want you to know that success is real and it is within your reach. I also want you to embrace challenges. I want you to anticipate challenges. Build them into the journey instead of fearing them. Recognize that it could be almost near the grant application deadline and something might happen. You might get sick. Your child might get sick. Your team member might have to go away for some reason. Build into your timeline the reality that something will go not as planned. Build into your journey the reality that you won't receive 100% of the grants you apply for. And if you are receiving 100% of the grants you apply for, you're playing too small. Many people think their biggest challenge is someone trying to block them. But for many of us, our biggest challenge is our own mindsets. It's our own mindsets. With the right mindset, you can turn any challenge into an opportunity. You can turn any challenge into success. With the right mindset, you can achieve your goals. I want you to focus on managing your thoughts. I want you to focus on reframing your thoughts. We all have negative thoughts come up. I want you to be intentional about minimizing your negative thoughts and enhancing your positive thoughts. I want you, when those negative thoughts come, to hear me telling you, you are amazing. You are capable. You can do this. I want you to hear my voice. You will do well. 2025 will be a great year for us. I'm speaking it now. To wrap up, today we talked about our goal to take some time and reflect on 2024, set smart goals, create actionable plans, and build a success-oriented mindset. These steps are your blueprint for making 2025 a year of impact and self-growth. Don't forget to grab my free cheat sheet, Think Like a Winner. It's the perfect resource to kickstart your grant writing journey or elevate your current strategy in 2025. You can find the link in the show notes. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Grant Writing Made Clear. I am cheering you on as you set and achieve your goals. Until next time, keep striving, keep learning, and keep making a difference. Take care, my friend. Thank you for listening to Grant Writing Made Clear. I hope today's episode gave you inspiration, confidence, and clear information that you can turn into action. Remember, you are not alone. There's a whole community here striving for the same impact. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a quick review to help more people find the show, and share this episode with others in your network. It really does make a difference. For more grant writing tips and resources, follow me on social media. Until next time, keep showing up, keep learning, and remain determined. I'll talk to you next time. Goodbye for now.